Hello, internet world. I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel, Revamped. So I am Heather. I own Healing Hands Therapy Center, which is in Collinsville, Connecticut. And I just kind of want to give you a little bit of an introduction to myself, tell you who I am, what I do, and how I help people. And that's going to just sort of be a kind of like a diving board for all the other videos that I'm going to do. So I think it's important to kind of have an idea of who the heck is this person that's talking to me. So I'm gonna get to have you guys get to know me a little bit, and as we go along I'll share a little bit more and more about me. But so I am currently an occupational therapist and a certified hand therapist, and I'll go into specifically what those two terms mean in other videos. But before I ventured into the healthcare world, I was a professional musician. So I knew from the moment that I was in 5th grade when we got to choose which instrument we played, the moment I put that flute to my face and blew into that silver metal tube, I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It was just one of those passions. It was just something that was in me. And I did. I went to conservatory and I freelanced and I did a whole bunch of work, and I absolutely loved every minute of that part of my life. And I was on my way out to California to do studio work, and that's when I ended up with some injuries that were career altering. So I ended up not being able to play. I spent a lot of time seeking out care to ultimately get most things better, but have some things, one final thing that didn't get better, which turned out to be a genetic anomaly in my body, which I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. But I had seen tons of healthcare workers and nobody was really able to help me. So it was a few years in the process. So I was sort of lost. I couldn't play. I didn't know what to do. And my grandmother one day said to me, why don't you become a physical therapist? And I was like, I'm not touching feet. You know, this is a musician who wanted nothing to do with the healthcare world, but having had experienced it, I was like, this kind of stinks. There's got to be a better way. And that's kind of how I stumbled upon occupational therapy. And occupational therapy is a great field because it combines the physical aspect of our bodies, the mental aspect of us, as well as the spiritual aspect of who we are as people. And that just felt so much more in alignment than just looking at the body. I wanted to be able to look at the whole picture. And I kind of knew I wanted to work with musicians because of all the issues that I had had and the lack of help that I had experienced. So I then went on to OT school thinking, God, how am I going to get through all these science classes, because I didn't have to take any science classes in conservatory. So, but it worked out great and I loved every second of it. And I started working in a orthopedic hand clinic right out of the get-go, and went on to become a certified hand therapist. And that word is misleading. It doesn't just mean that we do hands. A certified hand therapist means that we actually have education in the shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand that's above and beyond what most people get. There's only about 7,000 of us in the world, so it's a grueling process. It's one of the scariest exams you'll ever take. You never want to take it again. If you pass it the first time, you're like, yes. Luckily I passed it, and I never have to look at that exam again unless I don't do my continuing education units, but that never happens because there's always so much to learn. So that's kind of how I landed up as an OT and a certified hand therapist. So I started my own business about 5 years ago. And because I always felt like something was missing, I worked at a big hospital and I loved it there and the people that I worked with, but we never really had enough time to do the mind, body, spirit connection. We really just barely had enough time to do the physical aspect of what these people's injuries were. So it always felt like something was missing. And I actually had patients ask me multiple times, are you doing Reiki? Are you doing energy work? And I was like, no, but about 6 years ago, I started really expanding my gifts as an intuitive energy healer. So I did a lot of work and a lot of studying to open up my psychic abilities to help people heal. So in my practice now, I am very much connected with bridging the gap between science and energy. There's a time and a place for both. Both are wonderful. And when you combine the two of them, the impact can just be truly amazing. And I'm a big believer that for every thought and feeling we have, there is a physiological response in our bodies for that thought and feeling. And so many times our physical stuff is coming from subconscious energies that we've held on to that either aren't ours, that are societal beliefs, limiting beliefs, us being out of alignment with who we are and the decisions that we make. And all that affects our immune system. And everybody knows, oh, when you're stressed, you get sick. Well, why are you stressed, right? So, and then, okay, so you can identify some of the stressors, but what is the energy behind the stress? And how can we navigate that energy a little bit better? So these are all sort of things that I combine into my traditional orthopedic business. I work a lot with musicians as well because of my background in music. I have an added ability to understand what musicians are going through and what their needs are. And if I had known what I know now back then, I would have avoided all my injuries. So that says a lot. So what's one of my big passions is to help musicians prevent injuries in the first place. And if you have one, to give them the tools to know how to handle it and recover from it, because there are so many things that musicians can do to get better. So I kind of really focus with three different types of clients, and it's the orthopedic trauma-based stuff that happens in our upper extremities, the musicians, which is also a lot of repetitive strain stuff and can sometimes be trauma stuff. I've had lots of musicians break a bone here and there, so recovering from that and using your instrument to actually be part of your rehab program is a wonderful thing to do. And then the energy aspect of things and really helping people live the best life that they possibly can and come into alignment. And that's the great thing about OT is that we have a lot of mental health training, so that very much aligns with the energy healing as well, and kind of coaching people in their lives to be the best life that they can possibly live. So that's a little bit about my practice and how I got here. I'm going to do a totally separate video on kind of explaining what OT is, because it's not really clear. I still get called a PT so many times, and it's really just kind of bringing awareness to what the differences are. And then I'll go into a little bit more about what a certified hand therapist is, and then also what a psychic energy healer is. So those are all videos to come. But now I'm going to give you a little tour of my space. So I'm sitting in my office now, and I'm going to, take you out of my thing here. And then I'm going to see if I can flip you around, which it's not letting me do. Huh. Okay, so, well, anyways, you can sort of see we're going to go out the door. And this is the waiting area, so it's nice and bright. And then that's my door in. And then we're going to walk backwards and hopefully not hit anything, because I can't get my camera to turn around because I'm not technologically savvy. So this is sort of just a little sitting area. And then over here is the treatment area. You can see Stanley, the skeleton in the back. You can see my Ring camera that I was just using, because that's just lovely. This is all the fun computer work. And you know what, this is where in here I make splints. So this is my splint pan. I love to make splints. And then we have this other lovely room in through here, which is got a treatment bed, and it's just a really cozy space to be. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a crystal and all the little lights that kind of shine on the wall. And I am in a very old building, so that's my air conditioner, which is a Stone Age air conditioner, but works great. The town in downtown Collinsville is a great little town. So that's my office. So welcome, and I look forward to diving into all things that you want to learn about, and shedding some light on things and doing some interviews with people, and just having a space where people can come and bring questions and learn and grow, and always. All right, guys, take care.